Hi, welcome back movie fans to Reel, your home for an ever-evolving discussion of film in all its forms. I'm the Mayor.
And I'm KP. Welcome back to our channel. This is a very special one for us. We know we've taken a long hiatus from filming. We do apologize, but we're coming back with some pretty awesome things. The Academy Museum of Motion Pictures opened just last week on September 30th of this year in 2021, and we were lucky enough to be able to get tickets, get a membership, and access the museum in its opening week. The museum has been doing screeners throughout the month of September leading up to its grand opening. One of those big ones right on the cusp of the opening of the museum was Spike Lee's Malcolm X. What makes this screener all the more special, on top of the fact that we got to see it on 70mm film, Spike Lee and Denzel Washington were in attendance, and wow! And then Angela Bassett was there. Like, what? That was like my first dip, my little toe dip into the museum.
Yeah, what a way to start the trip for you too, you know, that's already a really high bar that you set.
Yeah.
We got to do a preview night on Wednesday because we're members, so we got to go in a day early, a bit less people, but everything was fully open except for one level of the museum. So we got in the door and I was nervous. I don't know how you're feeling, KP. I had a lot of expectations. We've been waiting for this museum for, what, 2 years?
2 years.
2 years or so?
Yeah.
So when we walk in, the first section is the Stories of Cinema, and it's the Spielberg Lounge. And all it is a little seating area where Spielberg has taken some of the clips from the original films all the way up to modern times. So you had shots of films from black and white, right from like the early 1900s, and it kept going through. So all of a sudden you get, you know, Gone with the Wind, to On the Waterfront, to The Godfather, and you get to modern times where they had Parasite and Iron Man playing. I was kind of nervous though, because I'm like, is this like part of the exhibit?
I was a little concerned.
Yeah. I was like, look at KP, I'm like, I hope this is the whole museum. Like, it was really cool, don't get me wrong. But when we finally get to that second level, and we open up that front door for the second level of Stories of Cinema, it's this giant wall playing clips of all these fantastic films, and the music, the setting, my heart kind of stopped a little bit. And when we hit that corner, we just see all these sections dedicated to famous films and filmmakers. There was a section dedicated to Citizen Kane, and the next section directly connected is a section dedicated to Bruce Lee. I grew up watching Bruce Lee films thanks to the love from my mom and my dad, who are huge fans. It was hard because I let out a lot of like squeals, a lot of, you know, I'm like trying to grab KP, like, look, you know, like it's so much to take in. But there's another section dedicated to Emmanuel Lubezki, one of the greatest cinematographers of all time. Thelma Schumacher, who you may know as the editor for Martin Scorsese. She talks about her editing process. So there's already these good little clips, and as we hit the next corner, whole room Oscar statuette.
Just beautiful with little blurbs for just the impact and importance of that win. And you turn the corner and then you've just got a collage of just the history of the Academy Awards on this large rectangular table from literally 1927 all the way to 2020. Pairing on both sides of the wall is just a constant sliding video panorama of acceptance speeches from every single person. You just sit there and you just watch.
It was just, yeah, I was just left in awe. Because I was worried that we were just gonna breeze through this museum and be like, do we even need to go to the opening day? Maybe we're done in an hour. And we just get to the next room, and it's a room dedicated to the Wizard of Oz. And they have so many artifacts remaining from this film. That blew my mind. The ruby slippers. We have the tin can, you know, for the oiling, you know, one of the Munchkins outfits. And it was a really cool homage to one of the most important films ever made, a very tumultuous film.
Warts and all. And thankfully, the museum does not skirt that. It doesn't shirk away from those kinds of topics. And The Wizard of Oz was definitely the room we were most concerned about. Yeah. And it doesn't move away from that at all. It makes a reference to Louis B. Mayer and his relationship with Judy Garland. Certain photos showing this happy, beautiful friendship making a classic. It's nice that the Academy is confident it's a worldwide phenomenon of storytelling that unites us all, and you have a responsibility to carry that.
Yeah, it's not just the glitz and glamour, which you expect. And they do that multiple times throughout the whole exhibit, so it was really welcoming. There's even like one little section for the Moonlight Best Picture card, because even the Academy goes, yeah, we messed up the whole La La Land night, you guys remember, I'm sure.
It's nice that they have that in there.
Yeah, it's preserved. So it's really cool. This isn't just something where if like you hate Hollywood or all that and you kind of want to roll your eyes. Thankfully, the museum has plenty of honesty in there, which is great. This section also had a little Spike Lee room. We walk in, it's his personal collection of signed memorabilia, instruments, his own outfits from his films, his awards night. It's probably one of my favorite rooms. I want him to walk me through and tell me the stories, how he got like all these certain signed things. One of my favorite ones, one quick blurb, he had a Jurassic Park poster signed by Steven Spielberg, and it said, "To Spike, roar, R-O-A-R-R-R-R." I would kill somebody to have that poster. That is the funniest thing ever. And as we continue through, there was just rooms dedicated for certain aspects of filmmaking. There's one room dedicated to the casting process. We got to see people trying out their lines for the first time. You get papers of like official casting sheets that people have had. There's one room dedicated to sound mixing. And that's great because during the Academy Awards, you know, when I have my friends over, no one knows the difference between sound mixing and sound editing. And yeah, like I said, just touched me because I want people to know more about these things. It's not just yet again, here's some movie clips and some statues. Like, here's filmmaking on every level. There's another room just for art direction and cinematography. So I got to sit down there and hear more about like Pan's Labyrinth and LA Confidential and how they did a lot of those things. And as we round out through the room, we get to the costume section, which is one of the most visually stunning areas. Costumes from Rocket Man, Midsommar, La La Land, you name it. They had all these beautiful costumes set up in a room. It was definitely the most crowded room I was in because you could just stand in awe. They even had prosthetics from like Dolomite is my name.
Yeah, the Charlize Theron little exhibit of like her 3 very different films. I believe it's Bombshell, Mad Max, and Monster.
Yeah.
Her Oscar-winning role.
They had Furiosa's arm, you know, and it's showing how it all worked. Really cool. And as you exit through the gate, there's a quick little section. I didn't get to read all of it. I was kind of bummed, but it was a section dedicated to
documentaries and activism.
They had a screen playing, and it was a very somber room, but they have every breakdown from, you know, like in the old days and just how things are so racially divided all the way to Black Lives Matter to now. Really hit hard, you know, and as you exit out, we get to the 3rd floor, and I open it, and this one is very touching for me. It's a room dedicated to Pedro Almodovar. He's a Spanish filmmaker known for films such as The Skin I Live In, Pain and Glory, which came out a few years ago. All this room was screens playing his films and some of the most impactful moments of those films. He had all his original posters up too. And Almodovar is a director I think that the world needs to know more of. I think he's one of the best modern directors. And yet again, I wish I had more time just to sit and watch, you know? Right after that, we go into one of the most fun rooms. And KP, I'll let you take this. All about animation.
They've got the art desk that was actually designed by the artist himself, and he actually designed his own desk, and that desk is there on exhibit. And they've got everything from there to stop motion animation, figurines, things like that. Some stuff couldn't be filmed because it's actually owned by private collectors,
cool.
But it was pretty incredible. But just to see it in a larger breadth of not just Disney specific, but all these animators, you know, from Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas to, you know, The Incredibles to Wallace and Gromit. To see Leica highlighted right in the center is really cool. From the animated category, it shifts into visual effects, and it gets a small little narrow hallway. The advancement of visual effects from things specifically at the forefront is James Cameron, from The Abyss to Terminator 2 to Avatar, those big pinnacle points in history of the advancement of CG in the last 30 years. But you get to see all types of that, even from like matte paintings and those like transitional points from like old classic films. And then you walk into what the Academy has been really advertising, which is the costume and prop room, which is a stark black room highlighted by cylindrical glass cases, just everything from costumes from Black Panther to Edward Scissorhands, to Batman Returns, to 2001: A Space Odyssey, highlighting not just costume design, but then shifting obviously into this large kind of sci-fi fantasy genre that this room encompasses, that just highlights the history, the visual history of science fiction. There's a room to highlight composition, composers, and there's just a room where you just enter and it's pitch black with a singular red light, and you just sit there embraced and just enveloped by sound. And it's an incredible immersive experience. You just sit there and you can just, it feels like you're breathing in and out music, these notes, and it's just, you can get lost in it. And so then the room ends out with a wonderful little double screen of like quotes from filmmakers that have like contributed to the museum, as well as just filmmakers in general about what the future of cinema means. And then the final floor that we were able to get to was the Hayao Miyazaki floor at the very top. I'm just now getting into Studio Ghibli and Miyazaki himself. The mayor has been a long time fan of it. And to give you a preface on it, you're not going to see much footage, actually none of it on our video, because that's the only place that actually has strictly no photography. There's just a lot of stuff that should be experienced. There's actually living growing moss on the wall that you can actually touch and feel. Just gives you a preparation for what you're about to enter into, and it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's like walking into the world of Ghibli itself. You know, you get to see all the designs of films on the wall, like it's highlighting Porco Rosso and Princess Mononoke, and when you get through the door, art everywhere of Studio Ghibli. And this is all set up by Miyazaki. He approved of this. This is his section as of right now. So everything was perfectly fine-tuned into certain sections. So the first section's all dedicated to his crafts and his love of spaceships and robotics and animatronics. So it's a lot of designs for the Wind Rises and Porco Rosso, and it's original hand-drawn stuff from himself and his team. It's original film cells. You get to see little clips and snippets of the film highlighting those things, and you get to the next section, and it's a room with the original Academy Award that Miyazaki won for Spirited Away, with also all the posters of his films. And we go to the next section, and it's based all in the houses he has made. My favorite thing about Miyazaki is that every place he has designed feels like a familiar place. It's very heartwarming. So seeing like the home of Howl's moving castle and stuff, you get to see how he started from like a little area and made these beautiful, lush designs that are just insane. You can look at for hours on end. And you have quotes and breakdowns from Miyazaki all across the wall. And then you get to this all black room highlighting his anti-war messages, which is very, very touching. And then you get to the final room, which is all nature-based. And there is a certain interactive exhibit here. I will keep a secret for you guys, but it's just absolutely insane. I don't know who allowed this, but I'm so thankful that they did. It's the section that if you love Princess Mononoke, you must travel wherever you are watching this. Go right now. And it highlights all his creature designs from Totoro to all the creatures in Mononoke. And it was just beautiful. All the sections wind perfectly. They're playing a lot of the compositions from his films while clips play throughout. It is an absolute dream as a Ghibli fan. It was very touching. I was so happy to go through it a few times. I kept going back and forth just to look at everything. And the very ending to the exhibit has a nod to one of his films, and it is so perfect in its message and what it all means that actually got me pretty emotional as I exit through the door, and the doors closed behind me and I couldn't look back. Just absolutely wonderful. That alone was worth the price of the exhibit. We've been talking about a million other great things, but that Ghibli exhibit, whew, I've been thinking about it nonstop since I've gotten back.
Yes. So unfortunately, the final floor of the museum is the tea room, which is, we have no idea what it looks like. The only floor that was inaccessible at the time. And it's unfortunate because we were there for the pre-screen attendance of the museum on the 29th, and we were also there on its opening day, and neither day was it open. There's also a beautiful Academy Terrace that overlooks over the theater, the large theater at the tail end that you can kind of see LA. And we didn't get to see any of that stuff, unfortunately, but we look forward to catching it. And then we also went to the cafe, which is called Fanny's. And it's an incredible little cafe that has a lot going for it. It's just now open with just some highlights of desserts, coffee shop, bistro pastries, and things like that. They did let us know that in the coming months they're going to expand the menu to like dinners and lunches and things like that. And then we finished out the trip obviously buying things because consumerism! Capitalism! So of course we were prepared and we went to the shop, and there are some pretty wonderful things. Obviously with every exhibit that they have right now, they're going to be releasing a beautiful hardbound book to highlight the filmmaker. Currently right now, the first to open it out is the Hayao Miyazaki hardbound that is just,
look at this thing,
beautiful.
Yeah, this thing is just chunky. It's wonderful. And what this is yet again kind of like a breakdown of the actual exhibit itself. And a lot of the stills and art you get to see in the museum are in this book. He breaks it down just the same way, subsections, and breaking down a lot of the characters, and also just all the films by year. It's a wonderful book. I've only flipped through it a little bit because I just know once I start reading, I'm not gonna stop, and you're gonna have to pry me away from this thing. But this is the first book, and this is a must-have by Miyazaki fans. It's at the museum, but also can be ordered online. And it's the first because the next few are gonna be Spike Lee and also Pedro Almodovar, who had their own sections here at the museum. So when those come out, we'll be joining this bad boy right here as well. Posters, collectible tote bags, vinyls, which was fantastic. But on top of it, Spike Lee had his own little section too.
Yep. Yeah, Spike's joint, as he likes to call it. Little shirts and paraphernalia referencing his original character from his earlier films, as well as some little mini cards and things like that. It shifts into like the almost like designer category where like they got artists, costume designers to like create pieces of jewelry, dishware, things like that, and that's when the price tag starts to climb up a little bit. They literally made pieces of jewelry from earrings to necklaces that are from the unused tiles from the building of the museum. It's just wonderful stuff. So we picked up a ton of stuff there, and it was just overwhelming. And needless to say, we really love film. Duh. At the heart of it though, comes a group of people that are a part of this film industry that want to come together to preserve the historical impact and the importance of moving pictures, telling stories that impact lives. Cinema really encompasses how we see life, and we know a lot of people that are out there agree with that, and this museum really highlights that in a lot of really great and immensely impactful ways. And we can't recommend going enough. It's a wonderful thing that, you know, as much as you can watch this video and think that you've gotten a little sense of it, go yourself. It's really, really wonderful. You're never going to know what you're going to find constantly throughout the year, as well as the museum being open 7 days a week. There are constant screeners with filmmakers, artists, directors, costume designers, sound designers, cinematographers, editors. Everyone under the sun gets to just come in and give their little 2 cents for a group of people, us, you, that want to learn more, that really appreciate it enough to come to the theater to see their work. They want to talk to us about it. And it's just, it means everything to us. And I think for as much as, like we said, we've been waiting 2 years to experience this, it's been wonderful to go, and we look forward to going again. We have every expectation to go back.
Absolutely, and especially since they're going to be changing stuff throughout the museum. A lot of the artists that we have there right now might not be there in a few months. So if you love Spike Lee or Pedro or Hayao Miyazaki, they might switch out those sections of the exhibit, which makes it exciting for us who are willing to go and visit, you know, every few months or so. But if you're really interested in any of this, it's a must. It's an absolute trip that you will enjoy from start to finish. Whether you like movies a little bit, or you're really curious, or you're a diehard fan like us, there's something for everybody. It is floor of just absolute treasure and warmth from film. It's just warmed my heart. It invigorated a lot of my passion for filmmaking, and I'm so thankful for the trip. It was one of the best trips I've ever had, and
Same.
I'm happy to go back anytime. I won't be spending that much at the gift shop the second time around.
You've taken enough of my soul, Academy.
Yeah, there's only so much I can spend. But this was perfect, and please go down to LA. Please go see this.
Yes, Academy Museum, guys. You can find your tickets at academymuseum.org. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please go ahead and comment, like below. Let us know what you think. If you're planning on going to the museum, we look forward to hearing any of your thoughts or anything. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Letterboxd for he and I. We will see you guys soon, and take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye.